What's up, pals? Welcome to another episode of the Your Random Pal channel. And today I'm in Nashville, Tennessee at the Lane Motor Museum. I've gone here a couple of times and I'll link the previous videos in the description below. I was here once just to check the museum out. I was out here again with the Bandit Run. We checked the museum out again, but I have not checked out the vault, and the vault is only open on special days. So today I want to check it out, take a tour of it, but I'm also going to show you some of the other cars. Maybe they weren't shown on the previous videos. Right here I'm in the little parking garage area. This is an area I did explore on my previous visits, so I'm going to show you a few things around here. Now here behind me is one of the more modern cars out here in the collection. This is a 2019 Ligier. I'm guessing that's how you say it, but it's a French car. And it reminds me a lot of the Ford GT type cars. And you definitely tell that it's ready to race. It's a track car. I don't even think it's street legal. Does it even have a license plate? Nope. That would be a fun car, definitely to toss around on the track, that's for sure. And there's a little information on it. It's the 2019 Ligier JS2R. And right here we have a Czechoslovakian car, well actually an ambulance. This is a Tatra T613 ambulance, 1980. It's a very unusual deal. You don't see Tatras at all in the US. They got a couple of them here at the museum. And check out that interior. That is definitely from the 1980s on this thing. Obviously different language right there, but this thing is really cool looking. You know, like these old Mercedes looking lights. I assume they were inspired by the Mercedes-Benz on the back. I don't know if they got them from the parts bin or they just look a lot like the 80s Mercedes taillights, but kind of neat on that. And here's a nice flatbed truck right here. Let's see what this is. It's really cool looking. This is a Citroen. Citroens are French cars or trucks. Here's another Citroen, but this one has a surprise on the back side, and it's for sale too. Kind of neat. It's a flatbed. You could use it to haul your toys around on. That would be a fun, unique ride to take your car or your show truck to the car show in. And like Citroens are famous for, it's got one spoke on the steering wheel. It's a trademark, it seems like, of the Citroens. I gotta say, I really want this Citroen flatbed hauler car right here because it's just so cool. And on top of that, it's a 5-speed manual, which makes it even more cool to me. I could just see myself hauling my show toys around on this thing. And in case you're wondering, it's a 88 Citroen CX Tissier car carrier. Who knew they made them like that? Now behind me is a cool row of military vehicles or off-road vehicles. Let's check them all out. See, most of these are painted in some kind of dark green or camouflage colors, and they're from different countries. This thing is pretty radical. The snowboards, looks like it's for just going through the snow, and it's got a propeller on the back. This is an old Tatra. It's a prototype. It's a replica of a prototype, but very neat. Go through the Swiss Alps in that thing. That would be fun. And it's got the advertisement for the Lane Motor Museum on the back here. That's neat too. That reminds me of like the old steamboat wheels, the design of it and shape of it on the back. So it's kind of like an airplane without wings, best way you could say it. And check out the 2 steering wheel configuration. I don't know what was the reasoning for that, but it's very interesting design. And we move along to, there's obviously the Audi, or Auto Union as it was called before Audi. And that's what this is, the 58 Auto Union. You notice the 4 circles. This one here's got some camouflage paint on it. It's pretty cool. It's a German vehicle. It's not a Ford Tempo, but it is a Tempo. And here we have the AMC Mighty Mike. AMC, American Motors. They produce some military vehicles too. This little Jeep looking thing here. And moving along, we got a 1974 Fawn Kraka, which is a German vehicle. It kind of looks like a cross between a utility and a golf cart kind of deal. And it's a 3-seater, very unique how you set in the center and then you got little jump seats for the passengers. Very interesting vehicle for sure. And we got some small vehicles up on this platform up here. Some of this stuff you probably never heard of. This one's a 56 Henkel, German car. Looks like you're riding in a big bubble. It's got this little canvas or vinyl roof on it. I don't know if that comes off or not, but it might be a convertible. You got a 3-wheeled type deal. It's a Tatra, so Czechoslovakian car. Another famous 3-wheeled car is the Morgan, and right ahead of the Tatra is a Morgan. These are a really neat design, like 20s, 30s, but then it's a 3-wheeler, so it's kind of odd. Oh, and there's my Mustang. That's my daily driver. But as you can see, this Morgan, it's a right-hand drive. It's a British car. And then we got a Reliant Regal. Also another British car, right-hand drive. A lot of you people are probably familiar with the Reliant Robin, which is another 3-wheeler. It's a more modern version of this. And what do we have here? Let's see what this one is. A 1967 Bond 875. Reminds me of the Bond buggy that everybody talks about. Little bitty car. It's probably the same company. Here's another 3-wheeled car over here for your enjoyment. And that one is a BSA. Looks very similar to the Morgan in my opinion. But it's BSA Birmingham Small Arms. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they made a lot of like motorcycles. British motorcycles. So let's see, what's the next one here? 1977 Piaggio Vespa car P501. So this one almost looks like you're standing up in it because it's so tall on the cab, but you're not, you're sitting down. And it doesn't have a steering wheel in this thing. It has more like a handlebar like in a motorcycle. But great for utility because you can haul quite a bit of stuff in the bed of this thing. And check out this little bitty ride compared to myself. It's tiny. It's a 1972 Comma. I probably am screwing up the names. Mini Comtesse. And it's from France. A little French car. The French cars are very odd. They come out with some odd stuff. And then a truck, another truck here that's got a nice setup. A lot of these things I've never even heard of, not even familiar with, and I had seen them in my previous visits to the museum. But this is a 63 Trivian, and this is actually an American truck made in Pennsylvania. And look at that interior. It's an odd position for the shifter, if I do say so. It's kind of mounted right where your feet would hit the go down. And while you're here, don't forget to look up. Look at that plane up there. I love the shark teeth on it. Yeah, you'll miss some things if you don't look up, because there's more than just cars at this museum. They got planes and stuff. And check this out. This is another cool car hauler right here, and it's for sale. This is a Tatra T815. It's got a price tag of $30,000 on it. It's 1992, so a bit modern. This would be a cool thing to all your rides to the car shows. This thing's got me drooling as well. Look at that thing. So you got like this is more like the semi-truck deal. It's a lot more heavy duty than the Citroen. So if you got like a heavy show truck, you could tow it with this thing. And it's got turbochargers right here. The engine kind of peeks out from the back side, as you can see. And the collar scheme is pretty wild. It's a 6x6. As you can see, 6 wheels on this thing. And another airplane. And here's a really, really old piece of machinery right here. This one's an old Citroen, the 1924 Citroen, so very old. Looks like it's been used out on a farm. As you can see, the tank treads on it. I don't know exactly the original intended purpose of it. Looks like it's probably missing something, or something you get the pieces to and build yourself. They're very primitive, and this guy's been riding it for quite some time. Out front here in front of the museum, looks like they have a special gathering of the Corvette Club. As you can see, just a row of Corvettes. There's a Subaru that snuck in. Thought I'd showcase this one. It's done up like Lightning McQueen. I really like that. That's cool. And now off to the inside, we're going to check out the vault and see some unique stuff. All right, pals, so I am at the meeting spot. This is where you wait right inside the doors to go down and check out the vault. Now this tour, they currently only offer it on the weekends, and it is $10 in addition to your ticket to the museum, so bring it up to like 25 bucks. And you can check out the vault. And they have 2 different times on Saturday and 2 different times on Sunday currently that they do it, 11:30, and the other one's, which is the one I'm taking, and the other time is like 2:30 p.m. So those are the times. It's a kind of a guided tour, and ready to check it all out.
What would you like to smell of old gasoline?
It smells good.
It smells like free.
Wow. Look at the cars and all kind of stuff in here. Not just cars, motorcycles, planes. Looks like everything's arranged by color over here. You've got a bunch of red ones.
Yeah, that's the red section for now. This building here used to be a Sunbeam bread factory up until the year 2000. Any of you guys from Nashville? No? Okay, well, lots of old folks from Nashville remember driving by here and smelling bread, but they quit making bread in 2000, kept this building as a warehouse for another couple of years, and then Jeff Lane and some friends formed a not-for-profit to make the Lane Motor Museum. Jeff brought his car collection here, and then the museum has been buying and selling cars as an entity since that point. So all these cars are, all of these cars are owned by the museum pretty much, and maintained by the museum. Some are on loan to other people, and there are a few cars here on loan from someone else. Now on weekdays, this area over here, there are several people who are doing all the normal maintenance of the automobiles. The goal is to have every car running in here. Cool. Most of the cars do run, and as you can imagine with the number of vehicles here, that's obviously a full-time job for several people. So Monday through Friday, they're really busy down here just fixing cars. And as soon as they get a repair done or maintenance done, then they find a place to park it and then grab another car from over here and start working on the next one. So here's a Nissan race car that recently arrived here. This is a fun little flipper car. It's got, it's a 3-wheel car, or a 4-wheel car, but it's, the front has a motor and axle that's one piece, and it has no reverse gear, so when you want to go in reverse in this car, you turn the steering wheel 5 times, which turns the drivetrain completely or backwards. Yeah, and then it pushes you backwards. So it's really a fun car. Or you can turn it 2.5 turns and put the front axle like this, and then it goes. It's really fun.
That's amazing.
How many people have been working here?
3 usually, you know, sometimes 4, sometimes 2, but yeah. We are going to go that way, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about this bicycle before we go that way. This is an early motorcycle, really. It's a bicycle that's got a motorcycle engine on it. This was a pretty common form for early motorcycles. Some motorcycle manufacturers made the chassis and everything and made the entire motorcycle. But Shaw made engines that you would put on a commercial bike. So that's what this is. This engine runs at 1 speed. There's no, you can see there's no throttle or clutch or brake or anything up here on the handlebars. So that engine just runs at 1 speed all the time, no matter whether you're stopped or started or going fast or slow. So it's just sitting there going. So the crankshaft is always spinning. So the pulley on the crankshaft is always spinning. But when you want to go forward, you tighten this leather belt with this lever against the pulley, and then it transfers the power to the rear wheel. Then when you want to slow down, you back it off into neutral and use the coaster brakes, bicycle coaster brakes, to stop it. Now, you know, fully manufactured motorcycles would have had their own brake and clutch and all of that stuff. But this is how the ones where you kind of put an aftermarket engine on, sort of.
When was it made?
1920s?
Is it 2-stroke?
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah. Well, I don't see the one. Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. These little cars were made from plans out of Popular Mechanics magazines. You can see all these vehicles over here now have propellers on them. That's because Jeff Lane, the founder of the museum, loves automobiles that are pushed by prop or pulled by prop. So these are just regular commercial bicycles that somebody put a prop engine on. These are cars made from plants out of Popular Mechanics magazines that they put a prop engine on. Then these 2 ice boats or ice sleds, they're normally pushed by propellers, so they're the only normal vehicles right over here in this corner. And this vehicle were both built here in the museum. They have a full-on machine shop with some super skilled fabricators, world-class fabricators here. If you saw the Gyro X car upstairs, that 2-wheel stabilized car, that was restored here in the building by people who work here. So, I mean, it's just a staggering amount of skill that's in this building. They built these 2 cars. This car, the original exists in France, so the museum offered to restore that car for the owner in France in exchange for making measurements of all the parts and coming back and replicating it. So that's what they did. Measured it all, came back and built this replica. That car, the original, is lost, but the plans still exist. So they built this car from plans. It's got an early Harley flathead V-twin in the front too. The same style engine that would have been in the car, and it's made 50 at least one-off vehicles in this building, meaning there's only one in the whole world. This is another one of those, made by a man named Hoffman. I think this is a pretty charming little car. It's 3-wheel. It's got a wheel span that's only like this. The frame's only like this long, so you know it's bouncing over bumps. The 3rd wheel in the back has an engine mounted on the same arm with the wheel, and the arm and the engine turn when you turn the steering wheel. So even at 0 speed, it's kind of pitching, and you're bouncing on the bumps, and it's kind of crazy, but it's a really cool vision of one man. He fabricated the whole thing. I'm sure he ran into issues every day and had to solve them. So, you know, it's kind of it's kind of a beautiful statement for this guy to have made this whole car by himself. Yeah. There are a lot of amphibious cars here in the museum. This is another one of them. Some of you guys and gals may recognize this as a Corvair pickup truck. It's been altered a little bit. They've added this section on. Here's where the original tailgate is. They've added this section from here back to house the rudder and the props. They're pulley driven, belt driven off of the Corvair engine, which is back here in stock form. So then they put these flotation style pontoon rockers on here to float it in the water. So you drive this car right off the boat ramp, right into the water, climb out of the door, come back here, build a director's chair. There are 2 director's chairs folded up down here. Build those. You can sit back here and they control it in the water with the boat controls. And you're looking through both windshields, which is pretty cool too. There is video of this online. You can find it on YouTube. It's called the Corphibian, C-O-R-P-H-I-B-I-A-N. And it's really cool to see it in the water because it almost looks like it's driving on the water. It barely sinks into the water at all. So it's really awesome.
Has it ever raced the Amphicar?
What's that?
Has it ever raced the Amphicar in the water?
Well, I don't know if this has been in the water for sure since the museum has bought it. But the Amphicar, I think it's down here. That's in the water all the time.
Oh, okay. It'd be an interesting race.
Yeah, it would be. Pardon me. This little section here is often where new cars to the museum show up first, and these cars recently appeared here. Luckily they put labels on them because I'd never seen either one of these cars before. I couldn't have told you what they were until I saw the labels. But there is a really cool Volkswagen XL1 back here, made around 2014, 2015. It's a hybrid diesel that gets 250 miles to a gallon. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. The whole body's carbon fiber, super light, super aerodynamic, as you can see. Gull wing doors. That little pod that's on the door there is a rear view mirror that's a camera. The car's pretty trick.
Was it a concept car or?
No, they made about 200 of
Oh, they
them.
did?
So
Oh.
it's a little more than that, but you know, kind of a concept car. But yeah, they made about 200. So it was not cheap. I don't know the exact amount of money, but there's tons of technology and all of that carbon fiber.
0 to 60 on that car?
I don't know. I don't know the specs for the speed on it.
I've heard they're pretty slow though.
Yeah.
Of course, that's
Oh,
why
it's
they get the
pretty-
gas mileage they do.
Yeah, it's pretty comical when you stop at a stoplight. It's a diesel engine with electric motors. So when you stop and it goes into its slow mode, it kicks over to the diesel, so it kind of sounds like a tractor when it's sitting at the stoplight. But then when it starts up, then it's totally silent like a spaceship. So it's a pretty weird combination of sounds.
That one looks like a spaceship right there. that white
Yeah, it
car.
does. This is another MPG car. It says 173 miles per gallon documented. It's painted on there, so you know it's got to be the truth. It's a Honda N600 that's also a hybrid with a diesel and the original gas motor up here. So it switches between motors just like that XL1. This Tatra, I'll just mention to you, if you all have already been upstairs, you've seen a bunch of Tatras. This building has the largest collection of Tatras outside of the Czech Republic. There are at least 20 here. There's many. Yeah.
Are they all air cooled?
Yeah, I think they are. I think they are all air cooled. Yeah.
Even the carrier, the flatbed truck? On
You know, I can't tell
the,
you
that
that.
one may be
I
different.
can't
but
tell you that for sure. But all of the automobiles are air cooled, whether they're overhead cam or Hemi or whatever, or boxer engines like that.
was that a Jaguar?
No, it's a Puma.
Puma,
It's
oh.
made in Brazil.
Brazil,
it's
I've heard of that.
It's a Carmen Ghia underneath the skin that they've rebodied with that really gorgeous body.
Yeah.
A lot of times cars
Cat
that are
emblem
built
on
like
it.
that don't look
Opel me.
Opel. Well, it kind of looks like an Opel. It kind of looks like a
Also right.
like a
It
Renault.
looks a little bit like a Europa in the front to me.
Yeah. It's really a pretty car. I think.
I've heard Muhammad Ali was involved in those
Oh, was
Pumas
he?
or something. Had
Oh,
some
I
kind of
don't know.
business deal because I know they were Brazilian cars.
Yeah.
Pumas.
No, I hadn't heard that connection. This car is really nice. It's got a big V8 in it, so it has a nice rumble and roar that you wouldn't think from a car with burled walnut and leather interior and all of that stuff. But BMW people call it the Baroque Angel too, which I think is a super cool name. That's a neat car.
There's a Lotus.
Yeah, here's a Lotus. This car was restored here in the building. This is an ex-race car, so it's got a performance engine in it. Pretty quick car. British Racing Green, of course. There are a lot of Lotuses in the building.
Lots of trouble, usually serious.
What's this one over here? This is neat.
It's a Humera, and it's a car that was made, believe it or not, I'm told it was made for yachts, to store in the storage areas of large yachts. So I guess if you can afford a large yacht, you can afford a car like that to put in your yacht. This vehicle is a lot of fun. It just recently showed up here. It's three-wheel, as you can see. So the rear axle stays on the ground, and then the body pivots like a motorcycle. It's electric, and you can hear the servos tilting it. So when you turn this wheel just a little bit, it just barely tilts. If you turn it a lot, it tilts over seriously. And it also has a reverse gear, so that's pretty cool. Made for city driving. It's actually a lot of fun to drive. Bicycles, because we like bicycles too. Mm-hmm. Jeff Lane loves them as well, so they're here. This bicycle's from 1869. No kidding, wow. It really is from 1869. The leather tire, isn't that cool? I have never attempted to ride that thing. Well, it doesn't have a tire on the rear, so it'd be pretty treacherous on concrete. But maybe when they take it to the tire store or the shoe shop, and we can ride it again.
And was that the condition it was found in, or?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah,
so
it's kind of, you know how it is. You don't want to. There used to be a big movement to restore everything, and now it's really more of a movement to retain everything.
Because sometimes you find stuff and it's just really roached out, and you try to.
Yeah, you got to make that balance. Yeah. You got to make that determination, right? Yeah. This bicycle is a pretty fun one. It's got a ski on it, as you can see. So it's for the snow, and it's got a tread. The rear tire drives a tread, but you can put a regular tire in here and ride it in the dirt as well. And then that little thing, this is a favorite of mine. This is a suitcase bicycle. So when you want to ride, the tires, the wheels, and the seat and the handlebars all fan out from this plastic body and lock in place, and then you ride it away.
Is it a Honda? I see Honda's got some ones like that.
Honda has something with that same kind of concept, but I don't know who manufactured that. Lotuses. Colin Chapman says add lightness. That's the way to go fast. They didn't build monster engines. They reduced weight. So these cars are both made out of fiberglass. This car is made entirely out of fiberglass. Even the frame is fiberglass. So it's ultralight. This is a very rare car. That is not as rare, but it's also made out of fiberglass. Also quite quick and successful race car and touring car. You can see that Mazda, when they made the Miata, was looking at the Lotus because it kind of looks like they kind of ripped it off the whole car. In fact, the frame is the same. They kind of made a steel version of the Lotus. I don't know, but it's
cool cars over here.
I do. That little thing. Here, we'll talk about that when we get a little closer. Yeah, I love that car.
What's the little?
These are some more Tatras. Oh, you're looking at that Citroen or the new.
What's the little bitty one?
Yeah, the French micro car. Yeah,
it's a French micro car.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
A lot of time micro cars are economy cars.
That looks like a bigger version of a pedal car, you know?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does, exactly. Now these are Tatras over here that I was mentioning earlier. This car and this car have Hemi V8s in them. They're air-cooled Hemi V8s, and they're not under the hood. They're in the back above the rear wheels. So they're kind of tricky to drive. They've got a swing axle, so you have to be careful or else you can roll them over. Yeah, it's a massive engine. Yeah, it is. That one also has a V8 air-cooled in the rear of it, but that's a modern one, and it has overhead cams rather than a Hemi engine.
It used to be upstairs.
Yeah, all of these cars go back and forth. Yeah.
Does the third headlight do anything in particular, like special?
It doesn't turn.
Like the Tucker. I know the Tucker is a Cyclops headlight.
No, I think it just illuminates.
Are they like, it's like a high beam or?
don't know.
That,
I don't know which ones have high beams. I've never driven it in the night. I've never driven that car. I've ridden in that car several times. But yeah, this is another one-off car. A man named Houston wanted to start a car company, so this was his design concept to try to sell investors on it. But nobody invested, so this ended up being the only car ever made.
It was pretty advanced for 1946.
Yeah, pretty cool. Aluminum. Yeah, polished aluminum. The whole body's polished aluminum. And the drivetrain is all Ford and Lincoln. Like that's a Lincoln steering wheel, Lincoln dash, and a Ford flathead V8 right behind the seats there. Yeah, the biggest bumpers in the history of the automobile. Look at this rear bumper when you get by it. It goes all the way around that pointy body, so it's even bigger than that one. Pretty incredible looking car, I think. Anyway, you were asking about the Lark out there. That's a Vietnam era amphibious vehicle made for the Army. It says LARCLX on the side. Light, amphibious, resupply and cargo vehicle, and LX is 60 in Roman numerals, so it had a 60-ton payload, 120,000-pound payload. I'm told that it was regularly loaded up to 100 tons, though, in practice. So it can carry 200,000 pounds on the water, and it weighs 200,000 pounds empty. So it's 400,000 pounds floating on the water with a tank in it. And that's what they used it for. If there was going to be a beach invasion and they needed tanks or land vehicles on the beach, then this was on the deck of a ship or on a barge behind the ship. They'd crane it into the water, then crane a tank into it, and then it would float up onto the beach and drop tanks off and then come back and get more tanks. So that piece of steel, there's a car body they smashed in the back lot. They used to smash cars with that thing all the time, but a hole got poked in the tire and they kind of quit doing that. That was the last time.
yeah, I heard they had a hard time getting tires for it.
Yeah, it took several years. They didn't have a tire for many years, but a guy was salvaging one and called the museum and said that we could have the tires if we paid for shipping. So they shipped 4 tires here, put that tire on in the back here in the back lot, and the other 3 tires are in the open garage doors. If any of you guys parked there, you can see them in the corner of the garage. Yeah, they're 9 feet tall. Those tires are 9 feet tall. A six-cylinder Detroit diesel engine for each of the 4 wheels.
Of course.
Yeah, so everything about it is just amazing. Yeah, it's really a fun vehicle.
What's the little blue car there?
Which one?
The blue with the silver stripes.
I don't know anything about this car. I'm gonna guess it's English, but it looks like it's fiberglass, but I do not know anything about
It
it.
reminds me of like the 80s sports cars, but a smaller version. The Mitsubishi Star in, the Datsuns, and
Right.
Nissan Z
Kind of
cars.
city car, right?
This looks like a shrunken version of the Nissan 300.
Yeah, right. These are Citroens here. This is the Citroen logo, of course, the double chevron. But this building also has the largest collection of Citroens outside of France, and there are perhaps 50 Citroens here in the building. This is the very first mass-produced front-wheel drive vehicle, the Traction Avant. That one back there is from 1937. This one's from 1953. You can see they're virtually the same car. They made them the same way for decades. Super successful. You can still go to Paris today and see them driving on the streets of Paris. So it was something that Citroen did a lot. If they made a car that was well designed and popular, they just continued to make it. And then, what's that?
They used to use it for taxis, no?
What's that?
Taxi in France. For
Taxi. Oh, of course. Yeah, of course, yeah. Lots of them are taxis.
Have they all had the one-spoke steering wheel? Or is there...
They didn't have the one-spoke steering wheel yet during this time.
Okay, so the older one, so it's more like...
The 3-spoke, it's conventional steering wheel.
Okay, because I've noticed like a lot of them have the one-spoke
Yeah,
that I've
I love
seen.
those things.
Yeah.
That's for
It's very
safety, by the way, in case you didn't know it. So the steering wheel will collapse when you get in a crash and you don't get impaled by the ship. Yes, sir?
This red car, is that a rotary engine?
It is.
That's the first,
German NSU.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah, with the rotary engine. Yeah, it's pretty handy. So this was George Jones' car. He used to drive, the country music singer. People used to come to Nashville to see country music and hear country music. I think they come for bachelorette parties now.
Looks like it.
But yeah, this was George Jones' car, and he was well known for driving it around town stuff when before he was getting a divorce from Tammy Wynette. And then it got sold to his manager, who drove it around for many years as well. So it's a pretty famous car for country music fans.
That's fine.
This is the reason I told you about that motorcycle earlier. This is a replica of the very first automobile, the Carl Benz patent motorwagen of 1885. This was made by Mercedes-Benz. They made about 200 of them in the 80s to give to all of the worldwide car dealers, so they'd have one of these in the showroom to show off their history of the automobile. So it's a perfect running and driving replica of the first patented car. Rack and pinion steering, pretty cool. It's got a drivetrain that's very similar to that motorcycle. You push this lever forward, tightens the leather belt around the single cylinder motor that's back here that operates in this direction on this car. This car does not have brakes on the wheels though, but it has a reverse. So when you want to slow down or stop in this car, you bring it into neutral and maybe it'll coast to a stop where you want to, but if you have to actively stop, you just let it slip a little bit into reverse until you get stopped and then go back to neutral and stop right there. So that's the way this one works.
Just needs a propeller.
What's that?
Just needs a propeller.
Yeah, right. And this car was made before gasoline, which is kind of an interesting concept. They ran it off of benzene. So, and they bought that at the drugstore. I went to CVS to get 5 gallons of benzene to run this car. And they said, no, we don't have that here. But you can go to the camp store to get Coleman fuel. It'll run off of Coleman camp fuel. It's pretty similar to benzene. Did you guys see the gyro stabilized car upstairs I was telling you about, the 2-wheel car?
I've seen it before.
Well, this is a 2-wheel work truck that was made for the Department of Agriculture, U.S. Department of Agriculture. And it was made so if they were going to maybe build a fire spotting tower on the top of a mountain in a national park, they could fill this full of building materials or heavy tools and go up a horse trail up to the top of a mountain and do construction work. So pretty specialized vehicle, pretty amazing. And it works just like, very similar to the one upstairs. Once the gyro gets to speed and it's able to stabilize itself, then those pneumatic tires there, they pull up into the frame hydraulically, and then these parking posts you just lift up into there, and then it's on just 2 wheels and you can drive up the horse trail. All those cars along that back row there for sale, and you can find out information about those online. So you can drive one of those home today.
Come with a warranty.
They're probably sold as is. This is a really cool little Fiat. It started life as a 600 Fiat, but it's been bored out to 850. And you can see the scorpions and stuff. So Abarth that has breathed on it, made it a hot rod, oil cooler, mag wheels. It's a really fast little car. Yeah, I haven't gotten to drive that one yet, but I'm looking forward to the day. Who was asking me about the Amphicar?
Right. Yeah.
Now here's the museum's Amphicar. Jeff drives people in this car in the water all the time. My whole family's been in it. Everybody around here has been in the water with him in this car. It's so much fun. Just like the Corphibian, you drive it right off the boat ramp right into the water. The water level on this car comes to just a little bit below this white trim line on the side. So water level comes up to about here, which means the bottom of the doors are underwater in this particular car. So it's got an extra set of latches on the inside that you latch after you get in to make sure the doors are sealed. And when you want to steer in the water, you use the steering wheel because the front tires are the rudders. Yeah, pretty neat. It's got 2 little props underneath the back there. It's got this wacky stuff on the hood and on the trunk because this car can be legally registered as a boat. so it requires boat lighting, and that's boat lighting. So it's a perfectly legal boat. It has registration numbers, magnetic ones you slap on the door, and you're good to go. It's a very fun car. That big old truck back there, that's a Citroen van, H-van, and just like that traction bought, you can find them on Paris all day long. They've made millions of them for decades. They use them for everything. It's a super simple corrugated box with a drivetrain. So they alter it and make it be whatever they want. Very successful car.
Another rotary.
Yep, rotary powered NSU.
I mean, there's Figaro.
Unfortunately, that car killed NSU. They designed the engine for this rotary and gave it a warranty, lifetime warranty. Yeah, and it turned out to be a problematic design, and engines were failing, and they replaced so many engines it put the company out of business. The company had been making motorcycles and cars for decades, and yeah, sadly, this car killed NSU.
I've got one of these.
Do you?
Well,
Yeah,
mine's Loppy's gray. That's an emerald
yours is
green.
gray?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's, all four of the Pike cars are down here in the basement somewhere.
Yeah, I've got the Pao as well.
Oh, do you? Yeah,
Yep.
cool. Yeah, there's a Pal. Well, this Pal might be upstairs right now. Yeah, there's the Escargot is someplace over there.
The snail.
Yeah, right. And and the fourth one is someplace around
Yeah,
here.
the
They move
B1.
around a lot, and I can't remember
You
where
got
they're
the
all.
Renault.
Yeah, isn't that neat?
That's really cool. I saw
This-
Dunkin' Imports had one for sale
Oh, yeah?
recently. Yeah, or
Yeah.
auction.
This is made for the kind of race driving where everybody drives identical vehicles, so you can kind of judge the skill of the driver. So you might see 15 of these on the track at the same time.
But that's
No side windows, no heater. It's really a race car.
yeah, but it's street legal, right?
Yeah, I've
It
driven
just
this
it
car.
doesn't have like any
I've
amenities at
driven
all.
this car on the street. It's brutal. I mean, I think my kidneys are still sore.
Yeah, but totally apart.
Yeah, it's a super stiff suspension. This car is amphibious most of the time. This one sank with Jeff and three
Oh.
people in it about 5 or 6 years ago. It sank, I'm told it sank in like 30 seconds. So
Oh.
the foam on the inside of the body for flotation had gone bad, and it was hidden by bodywork and nobody knew it. And straight down underwater in Old Hickory Lake, if any of you guys know where that is. So no one drowned. They dredged it out of the lake, and then it took about 5 years for them to get it floating again, but it is floating. Yeah, that's one of Jeff Lane's old personal Porsches. It's a nice car. Now you see this lift here is how all the cars get on the shelves. It's the only lift down here in the basement. So it's got some wheels that plug into these bases, and then when you lower the deck down, it levers the wheels down below the post, and then you can push it around by hand. So they'll get a few people around and go get a car off of a shelf or put a car on the shelf with this thing. This car is too heavy for the shelves, but the lift can pick it up, but we couldn't put it on a shelf. But right now it's just a parking spot.
What kind of car is that?
Well, that's a good question. It's the Lapine Agile 1999. It's a handmade car. It's a one-off car. I kind of call it a steampunk art car, but yeah, it's just somebody's crazy
Kind of
design.
looks something like a Barris custom, George.
Yeah,
Barris or
it's
something.
like a lot of things, you know. But yeah, it's a guy's vision.
Let's take a-
Motorcycles, they're often upstairs wherever the scooters are right now. So next time you come, it'll likely be motorcycles up there. This car has a wooden body, and that car behind it has a wooden body. That car has a wooden body. There are quite a few cars in the museum that do have wooden bodies. And you know, early in the automobile, they were made from carriages, so the horse was carried. So lots of old cars have wooden framework that's skinned with metal too. So lots of woodworking tradition in early automobiles. This one is a real neat little car. It's got a set of pedals for the driver, and the whole floor is open. You can see right through the ground. The chain goes between your legs to the back there. But then there's a second set of pedals and another chain on this side. So if you got a passenger, they have to help push you. But then if you get stuck on a hill, it's got a single cylinder gas motor in the back to help you get all the rest of the way up over the hill. So pretty cool vehicle, I think.
British TVR back there.
Yep, yep. Rover V8. There's another brown TVR over there. Yeah, those are neat cars. They sound awesome as well. This is a scooter that this is another one off. Somebody just chopped the fork off of a scooter and built this whole body for like a taxi. So the driver's getting drenched, but the passengers are nice and cozy.
There's the Elise.
Yeah, Lotus Elise. Really fun.
I've got an S2 Elise.
Yeah, this is really this car's a blast to drive.
Now, that one's got the Rover engine in it, right?
Yeah, and this one has a funny paint job. It looks like it's British Racing green kind of, or a dark green here, but it has a purple pearl in it. When it's in the light, it flashes purple. It's really wild looking in bright sunlight. There's a Crossley. These are made in America. They also made cars. I think there's a Crossley Hot Shot down here. This was sort of a poor man's tractor, if you will. You can see it has 4 tires on it. It's got very low gearing. You can hook plows and all kinds of farm implements to it and use it as a tractor if you wanted to.
That red one up there is a Crossley too, right?
No, but
No?
it's a Carter Town Shopper.
Huh.
1942 Carter Crown.
It kind of looked like I think, what do they call it, the Hot Shot, the Crossley Hot Shot?
It does look a little bit like
Yeah.
one. There is a Hot
Threw
Shot
me
over
off.
here. This is a K car. We've already passed by several K cars, but KEI, these cars are small enough, 660 cc and smaller in displacement, and this body size are smaller. They are allowed in the heart of Tokyo. If it's bigger than that, bigger engine or bigger body, it can't go into the heart of Tokyo. Most of those cars are economy cars or delivery trucks and stuff, but they made a few hot rods, and this is one of them. 3-cylinder diesel turbo behind the spare tire, which is right there. But this car can go very fast once you get out of town. So
There's also a Suzuki version of it,
Yeah.
Suzuki Cara. Is that one? Is that a Saab Sonnet 3 up there on the top?
no, but it does look like one. It's a Urba Centurion.
Huh.
There is a Saab Sonnet. Well, there's one. Is there one upstairs? There's one here in the
I
building.
swear it looks like it.
There's
right
a
in the
lime
front.
green one here in the building
Yeah,
somewhere.
it's just like one. I think.
Oh, this vehicle is one of my favorite things here. This is a recumbent amphibious bicycle, of course. So it's got, a recumbent bicycle inside there, so you're sitting in a seat and you're pedaling, but they put paddles on the spokes so you can paddle through the water with it, and it's got a rudder that comes up under your arm and you steer this way. Really cool. I'd love to take that out on the lake. Now there's that other TVR right there.
All right, cool.
Here's somebody's Mini Cooper that was too big, so they chopped the foot out of the middle of it. These cars are made from wood, and one clever feature, these have like motorcycle style handlebars to steer with and everything. But when you get to your garage and you want to park it, you can pick it up by the bumper and lay it on its tripod tail here, and it'll just
Kid's
take
car.
up this much space in your garage. That's pretty cool.
What's the deal with the little bitty Mini Cooper? Like that's.
It's somebody made a small scale replica of one.
Huh.
Yeah, well, I don't think it was Mini Cooper. It's probably some guy in his garage.
For kids, maybe.
Perhaps, or big kids.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of stuff that gets built that people pretend is for kids, but it's not really for kids. A modern Citroen. These have a super cool suspension system on them. There's another Maserati-powered Citroen SM.
Yeah, SM.
Uh,
Cool.
There's a Citroen Ice Racer back there with studded tires and like a Super Trap motorcycle exhaust on it. That's a pretty trick.
What's this red one here?
This one is a Smart Roadster. This Roadster body is sold in Europe, but it's a smart car underneath the skin.
It's all electric?
Uh-huh. Well, it's hybrid.
Hybrid, okay.
Yeah. Here's that Crossley Hot
Okay.
Shot. This is the Canadian version, so it's called a Crossmobile. So this is like super ultra rare. But other than this badge, it's exactly like a Crossley Hot Shot. Yeah, these cars, these are some of my favorite cars here. There's a white one someplace in the building, or at least there used to be, that's also a SM. When Citroen and Maserati were partners for a few years, they built these cars. It has a V6 hot rod Maserati engine right here. And it also has this suspension system that they call the hydropneumatic suspension system. That's just super miraculous. They first developed it in 1955, but all of their big cars, even the modern cars, have that same suspension still. It's got controller pots that are on all four corners, all four wheels. The height can be adjusted independently, even on the fly if you want. You can adjust the stiffness of the suspension on the fly. If you get a flat tire in this car, you lift up the whole body with three of the wheels, and the fourth wheel comes up with it, and you change the tire that way. So, I mean, these are just no jack, right? Or it's the most expensive jack in the history of the auto. The brake pedal in these cars is really wild. It's not even a mechanical pedal. It's a rubber bulb that's in the floor. Then you push it and it squishes the fluid into the slave cylinder and brakes the car that way. Yeah, everything about it is just kind of insane and super cool. Real swoopy. Some of these cars, these inboard headlights will steer with the steering. They don't on this particular car. That shooting brake, or that station wagon Citroen, this red, white, and blue upstairs, that one does have headlights that steer. And when you look at that one, you'll see you can see the difference, because you can see how it has the space for it to move. But yeah, these cars. The reason for that suspension system, though, is that you can go over railroad tracks or any kind of bumps in this car, and the body doesn't move at all. It's the wildest thing. You just can't believe it when you ride in one. So if someone gives you a chance to ride in one, take it. It'll blow your mind. And this one has that single spoke steering wheel.
Yeah. I bet it's fun to work on.
Well, they're not unreliable, but they are complicated.
Yeah, I can imagine the complexity with that suspension system in the car.
This car was restored here in the building. There are 3 Martin cars in the world, and all 3 of them are down here. This is a real cool little Mini Cooper that's been altered by an Italian company called Innocenti. So they put some suspension parts and fog lamps and flares and tires and stuff, and gauges in Italian. It's really a cool little car. Way fun to drive. These are fun to drive even in stock form, because they don't pitch very much. And you want to keep your speed up because they don't have tons of horsepower, so you can go around turns really fast in these cars. They don't mind it at all. That car's a K car. That Honda there, N1, is also allowed in the heart of Tokyo. Fisker. Yeah, Fisker, right. Yeah, hybrid car. The whole roof is a solar panel.
The hybrid?
No, it's got a gas motor that runs generators to power the 4 wheels. Yeah, I love that the roof is a solar panel, though. I think that's really neat.
Do they still make them?
No. They had problems with these, and they went into bankruptcy. They had fires in some of them, and so it damaged their reputation. They went into bankruptcy, sold it to somebody in China. They went bankrupt. I've heard the 3rd company it's bought is going bankrupt now. So yeah, so don't name your car Fisker. Little Peel Trident. Those are really fun cars. What else have we got here? Well, these are all red cars, as you can see. Here's a couple of several Mini Coopers, versions of Mini Coopers, sort of stock. This one's made in Chile with a fiberglass body. That one has 2 engines. It's a replica of a race car that Colin Chapman had made, or John Cooper, I mean, made and crashed and almost killed himself in. But
What's this one over here? Is this a Vauxhall?
what's that?
This one here, this gray one?
It's a Renault.
Oh, Renault.
Uh-huh.
It's an Alpine.
Yeah, that's a nice driving car.
You have a Vauxhall in here?
I don't know if there's one right now. There have been, but there have never been very many here. But I'm not sure if there's one right now or not.
I've seen like a Vauxhall Chevette kind of reminded me of the front end there.
It does look like a BMW. You've seen the Isetta that looks like a 3-wheeler. The 2 rear wheels are really close together, so it does look like a 3-wheeler. They decided they wanted to make a limousine version of this. So they spread the 2 rear wheels out and put a back seat in it. The Isetta don't have a back seat. Then they had to put another door on here, so I put one door on the side. But it's pretty cool. I love these front entry cars too. Turbo Renault 5. So they put a turbo on the front engine on this one. Pretty nifty little car actually. Dodge Viper. How'd that get in here? Pretty neat. First generation, no traction control, big V10. Brutal, loud.
No,
all the things we
no
like.
electronic crap to
No,
assist.
no.
No airbags,
No,
right?
nothing to get in your way of crashing. They're not, I mean, they're kind of treacherous, but that's only because they have tons of power and people want to use it all. And I get that. I totally get that.
I was wanting to ask, where's the Monopoly car at? I've seen that on videos before.
I think it's been back, yeah, you can see the tail of it in front of that brown van right there.
It's kind of hidden.
Yeah, I don't know why it's over there right now, but you can try to see if you can get a picture of it, but it's over there. See the big brown van?
Yeah, I see the van. I see the S-car go back there. Yeah. So, right in front of the brown van up there is a Monopoly piece car. I can't get a good view of it from back here, but it's like a game piece. It's used for advertisement. Maybe if I go around here, you can kind of see it. Barely, but there it is. Looks like a really, really old Indy car. It's neat to see it. I was wanting to see it when I came here, but it's kind of tucked away back far. I can kind of see it though. And another thing, it's kind of hidden. Look way back there, that light blue car, that's a Pao. It's just like mine.
Yeah, right. No, there it is. Yep.
Is that a 5-speed?
I don't know.
Okay, mine's a 5-speed.
Well, it's not. I'm going to get almost everything in here is a manual, but that may not be.
Yeah.
I'm not
Most
sure.
of them are automatics, but I think it's like 10% of them were made in the manual.
Well, 99% of the automobiles here are manuals, so you got to know how to drive a manual, or else
That's what I like to.
they just won't even let you in the door.
Yeah.
Well, and thank you, everybody. Tell your friends to come by and visit us. This place changes all the time, so next time you come, there'll be lots of new things to see.
What would you say is the hardest one to drive? Like the most challenging?
Well, they all have their own special challenges. Oh, I don't. That's
I've
a good question.
heard some of the NSUs have some kind of like semi-automatic manual kind of transmission.
There's what's it called? There's a DAF car that we walked by here, and it's got a centrifugal transmission, and it goes the same speed in forward as it does in reverse.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently they race the car in reverse as well. When they race the cars in the Netherlands, they first race it going forward and then they race it going backwards. So yeah, it's got to be pretty wild.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
Oh, my pleasure, believe me.
Well, pals, that is a wrap for today's episode of the Vault Tour here at the Lane Motor Museum in Nashville, Tennessee. If you enjoyed this video, give me a big thumbs up and consider subscribing, as I'll keep bringing you more and more cool car content, whether it's car shows, whether it's how-to, or car museum tours like I did today. So keep on watching. I've got a little bit of battery life left on this camera here, so I'm going to show you a little bit more. But until next episode, don't worry, be random.
You never want to miss another Random Car video!
Remember, ring that bell. Ring that bell.